Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys. It is Sunday, November 17th. Ian Cameron solo on the Sunday edition of the show today. Alex will be back tomorrow with us. But 4 games today on the NHL slate on this Sunday. And, of course, coming off, as usual, a very, very busy Saturday in NHL action. A couple of day games, a big night slate. We started with St. Louis paying back Boston, really, pretty much flipping the script of the way the game unfolded in St. Louis between these same two teams earlier this week when it was Boston down in the third period, coming back, tying up the game, and then winning. St. Louis did it this time, although this game got to overtime, and the Blues get a 3-2 victory over the Boston Bruins. If you listen to me on the show, I didn't bet this game. I probably should have, because I would have went 2-1, but I did recommend Blues and draw. Both of them cashed, and the Blues get a nice 3-2 win. The over fell short. I did like the over a bit, but certainly was right on with the Blues and the draw being live, and they both cash. A nice comeback for St. Louis, and Boston just continues to really can't get out of their own way. It's just win 1 and lose 2 now in a row against Dallas and St. Louis. Very disappointing for them. More questions than answers right now when it comes to the Boston Bruins. Seattle with a 3-2 win against the Islanders. Mixed bag for me here. We had a piece of Seattle, but we did have a piece of the draw. We had the first period over, which hit, but the full game over falls short. But a nice 3-2 win for the Kraken. Great homestand this has been for the Kraken. They've played some really good hockey here on this homestand. And no doubt it continued, obviously, with a nice win over the Islanders there, 3-2. Credit to the Florida Panthers. Just pumping the Winnipeg Jets last night, 5-0. Pretty much in control start to finish. Although the game was kind of even. I mean, in the first period, Florida certainly played better. It was an even game from that point on. It wasn't one of Hellebuck's better games. Great game from Bobrovsky and the Panthers with a nice 5-0 win, bouncing back from back-to-back losses at home to the New Jersey Devils before that. Remember, those two teams play again Tuesday night in Winnipeg, and a rematch between these teams with Paul Maurice going back to Winnipeg with this Florida team. So great stuff from the Panthers there last night. Great fight in that game, too, with Ekblad. I shouldn't say a great fight, but Ekblad and Scheifele dropping the gloves. It was great that they fought. It wasn't a great fight. That's the way it should be phrased. Carolina 4-0 against Dallas. Tip of the cap. Ottawa was nowhere to be found in this game. They didn't play great. Dead ticket on arrival for me with the Sens here. Getting shut out by the Carolina Hurricanes with Spencer Martin. And that's although credit to Spencer Martin, he played very solid. I thought this was more so about a very, very tidy, strong, sturdy defensive game from the Carolina Hurricanes. In a really tricky spot, too, coming off a long road trip. Very, very impressive how the Carolina Hurricanes played first game back home after that road trip. So credit to them, a nice 4-0 win against Ottawa there. Tampa Bay 4-0 shutout against New Jersey. Best bet winner for me with the Lightning. I love this spot. The price was great. You don't get Tampa around a pick 'em even money at home very often. Devils feeling a little too good about themselves, in my opinion, coming off the back-to-back wins against Florida. And it was just the perfect opportunity to jump in with the Lightning, who had that very tough road trip. Answered the bell, beating Winnipeg the other night, trying to get on a little bit of a roll here, and it was a nice, solid 4-0 shutout win for the Tampa Bay Lightning over the New Jersey Devils last night. We saw Toronto and Edmonton, unbelievably great hockey game, fantastic start to finish. Back and forth it went. Goaltending was very good on both sides, especially from Anthony Stolarz. I mean, I thought Edmonton had some unbelievably great scoring chances, tremendous opportunities. I thought he faced more high danger chances than Skinner did, but he was absolutely outstanding again for the Leafs in net, gave them a chance. And you want to see a perfect shot to win the game in overtime. That was Marner. I mean, he put that right off the inside of the post and in. Great game. Loved the result. I was on Toronto and the draw. We hit both of those in this game. So great result from a betting standpoint. and a nice 4-3 win for the Toronto Maple Leafs, getting the job done there in overtime. A very entertaining game against the Edmonton Oilers. And wasn't that game so good that it started to make people think, gee, wouldn't it be kind of cool if one day this is a Stanley Cup final, maybe even this year, Oilers and Leafs? I'm not so sure about that, but certainly it was a good performance from both teams and a very entertaining hockey game. The Pittsburgh Penguins, not pretty. They almost blow a 3-0 lead to the San Jose Sharks. They get out to a 3-0 lead. 3 unanswered goals for the Sharks to tie the game, but the Penguins do prevail in a shootout and beat the Sharks 4-3. The only thing that fell short here was the San Jose money line. We did get the Sharks team total over 2.5. We did have the over in this game as well. Both of those cashed, so we'll take it. But the Penguins, not pretty, not overly impressive, but they do get the 4-3 win against the San Jose Sharks. And look, San Jose played them even. There's still a lot of problems right here with the Pittsburgh Penguins, and I don't think last night solved a lot. You just found a way to beat one of the worst teams in the NHL. Nothing really to pat yourself on the back over. Columbus and Montreal. Look, we do have to talk about this a little bit. 5-1 Montreal. I did have Montreal, so I thought it was a tough spot for Columbus coming with the back-to-back after playing Pittsburgh the other night. But we do have to talk about the fact that the system play is starting to regress a little bit. 0-2 last night in that Columbus-Montreal game. The numbers for the season are still very solid, quite honestly. You look at the numbers, even after last night's 0-2 with the first period over and the full game over in that game, and you're still looking at, like I said, a pretty solid, profitable result still for the most part. But like I said, it just hasn't been nearly as profitable as it has been early on. So it is something to, keep an eye on. It is something to monitor. There's no question about that. I think it's now 23-14. Yeah, 23-14 for the first period over, and it's 18-12-3 if I'm not mistaken for the full game over. So again, it's trending back a little bit. We're going to keep going with it though. I am, but I think I'm going to reduce the unit sizes a little bit. I mean, the one thing is I've been going pretty strong on this system play for a while. Might scale back we're not cutting this off cold turkey. We are going to keep attacking it. We're going to keep betting the system play, teams off a shutout loss, and we are going to have a couple coming up because we saw Ottawa and New Jersey get shut out last night. So they're going to be in the system play in their next game. So like I said, there's something to monitor. It is coming back to the pack a little bit. Again, we're going to keep betting it, but we're probably going to lessen the unit amounts or the wager amounts with it. At least until we see some kind of positive correction again with it. But 5-1 Montreal last night. Great win for them. Philly with the 5-2 win against the Buffalo Sabres last night. A solid performance from the Flyers. Fedotov, I'll tell you what, a couple games now, he started to improve a little bit. I've still got to continue to see more, continue to see the progression. But, Fedotov has definitely taken strides forward from early in the season. Devin Levi has not. It continues to be a struggle for him for the Buffalo Sabres, and a nice 5-2 victory last night for the Philadelphia Flyers in that game. We do cash the over in that game, so I was very happy about that. Dallas 2-1 against Minnesota. I didn't love the price on the Dallas money line. I thought the team total was the better bet, but unfortunately they don't get the 4 goals necessary. A low-scoring battle it was, but Dallas finds a way to continue to get the wins. A nice 2-1 win there over the Minnesota Wild. Detroit, just falling down 2-0 when you're on the second night of back-to-backs and you're pretty much cooked. When you're on a back-to-back, you can't have a bad start because good luck as the legs continue to get weary later in the game coming back when you have a rough start. And Detroit found that out. 4-1 loss to the LA Kings last night in that game. And really, if not for Cam Talbot, it could have been worse. He actually played very well. 41-18 were the shots in favor of the Kings, and the LA Kings get a nice 4. That's a brutal 2 games there. Detroit should have beat Anaheim. Terrible loss against the Ducks, blowing it. And then, of course, last night against LA. There's problems in Detroit. There is. They better start thinking about the possibility of no playoffs again, because there's going to have to be some improvements with this team, some significant improvements if they hope to be a playoff team this season. And then Chicago, Vancouver, 4-1. Very workmanlike win for the Canucks. definitely a lot more what Rick Tocchet wanted to see. Was a good defensive effort from his team. It took a while for the offense to come, but it did in the third period. A couple empty net goals to put it away. Struggles continue for Connor Bedard. This has been probably one of the roughest, toughest, worst stretches of his young NHL career. Thought maybe last night playing close to home, family and friends in attendance, Vancouver, would be the spark that gets him going, and you just didn't really see a lot of him. Almost invisible at times. Just not a great night. One shot on goal, no points in that game. He's definitely in a funk right now, and I think it's a really good mental test for him. There's been a lot of expectations placed at the feet of Connor Bedard, thinking he's going to be great right away. And, he's got to carry this team, because of the lack of proven offensive weapons around him. That's a lot of pressure on his shoulders. And it's almost like people have expected too much. And now people are worried that, Connor Bedard is maybe not going to be at that level that people think. It's just way too soon to talk like that way. This is kind of the same shit I was hearing about Lafreniere a few years ago with the New York Rangers. So, like I said, Bedard's in a funk right now. I'm not panicking. We know there's still incredible talent there. Give him some time. And like I said, though, that was tough to watch, quite honestly, because that game meant a lot to him, and just couldn't get anything going. And really the whole Chicago team last night really couldn't get much of anything going, but especially for Connor Bedard, not to get anything going last night. Tough look. Like I said, I'm not there yet in the panic mode about him, but definitely he's in a funk. He's in a big time funk right now, and we'll see if he can work out of it. This is the test for a young player, battling through the adversity, coming out the other side and getting better. And this is going to be a good way to challenge him in that regard. All right, let's challenge ourselves with this Sunday NHL card and see if we can find some winners here with the 4 games on this slate. We will begin with the one game taking place this afternoon. St. Louis Blues taking on the Carolina Hurricanes. We've got Carolina minus 320, home favorites. 6 the total in this game, shaded to the over. Obviously for Carolina, this is one of those, and they've done this before where they're playing 2 home games in a row, Saturday night, and then one of these late Sunday afternoon games, less than 24 hours later. We'll see how they fare in this one, but they have gone 5-2 in the last 7 meetings against the St. Louis Blues. The Blues are on a back-to-back too, but they did play in the afternoon early in the day yesterday. They do have travel though, so it's kind of, I think it's pretty much, a wash as far as the scheduling spot. You've got St. Louis. I will say this though, this is the 3rd game in 4 nights, but there's no time zone change. That's the thing. It's almost that angle that I like to bet against teams in that St. Louis is in, where it's 3rd game in 4 nights, all on the road, all with travel, Buffalo, Boston, and now Carolina, but none of those travel spots between games were involving time zone changes. And to me, that's the angle I'm looking for. I'm looking for those spots when the 3rd game in 4 nights on the road is a time zone change, going from the 2nd game to the 3rd game. That's not the case here with Carolina in this game, because all 3 games were in the Eastern time zone for them. So for St. Louis. So that is definitely mitigates at least what I'm looking for, because I'm looking for time zone change as well for what St. Louis is going through right now. Well, Carolina, unless they're flat, unless they just throw a clunker out there, the better of these 2 teams right now. The spot is certainly not good enough for me for St. Louis to take a shot with them. But we are talking minus 325. We're talking, back-to-back. I would just say if you like Carolina, they're 6-1 at home. You look at all the recent home games going back to the last 4 home games. 5 home games they've played since Halloween, October 31st. Boston, Washington, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Ottawa. And every single one of those home games, Carolina has scored 4 goals or more. So I'll lean Carolina team total. It's over 3.5, minus 140, minus 150. Don't know if I'll bet it. I don't love the value on the Hurricanes in this game, but I'd certainly feel more comfortable laying a minus 140 or so with the Canes team total over 3.5 than taking the money line or anything else. I would probably look in that direction here. We should see Pyotr Kochetkov. It looks like he is feeling good to go. It looks like, as far as this is concerned, we know he was not available yesterday. It seems like the Hurricanes are expecting him to be available, and if he is, he'll start with this being a back-to-back. Not confirmed yet. Joel Hofer is expected to be in net for the Blues. We saw Binnington yesterday, so Joel Hofer getting the start does not surprise me. Not the greatest numbers, 3-3, 3.33 goals against average, 903 save percentage for Joel Hofer this season. So yeah, we'll give you a lean to Carolina team total over 3.5. I don't know if I bet it though. There's better bets on the board today than that. I will. Plus, I've got NFL's going on, college basketball. We got bets for me in other sports. So we'll lean though to the Carolina team total. As far as props for this game, we talked about Jack Roslovic. We've talked about certainly, Jackson Blake, a goal last night. I know he's not playing on the bottom six right now, but don't sleep on his potential maybe to find the back of the net for this team. For St. Louis, Holloway and Braden Shen, the captain, of interest here for me as far as props in that game. All right, Nashville, Vancouver. We've got Vancouver minus 125 home favorites here. 6 the total, shaded to the under across the board. Predators, it's been not the start anyone expected from this Predators team. That we would be here on November 17th and they'd be 5-13 is not exactly what people thought. 1-7 on the road. They've got 1 road win in 8 games this year away from Bridgestone for this Nashville team. So not at all what you want to see here from this Preds team. 3 losses on this road trip, overtime losses to Colorado and to Edmonton, and then a 2-0 shutout loss to the Calgary Flames the other night. Vancouver with the 4-1 win last night against the against the Chicago Blackhawks. As we talked about, a much better defensive effort from this team. A good response from Rick Tockett's team after saying they're throwing out too many duds, not showing up, playing the way they should on home ice after the loss to the New York Islanders. So it was a nice bounce back for them. It is 3rd and 4 nights for both teams, including time zone travel change for a time zone change for Nashville, 3rd and 4 nights. 1 time zone change over because they're mountain time zone for Edmonton, for Calgary, and now they go to Vancouver. It's still not a great spot for Nashville. This is probably a pass for me. Vancouver, can we trust them to win 2 in a row at home? I mean, you look at this Canucks team at home, they're only 3-6. They've been better on the road. They lose 2 in a row at home to New Jersey. They beat Pittsburgh. They lose to Carolina and New Jersey. They lose to Edmonton. They beat Calgary. And then they fall back and lose the next home game to the New York Islanders. So I'm not seeing a whole lot of evidence of Vancouver putting 2 good games and 2 home wins together going into this game. So I actually lean Nashville, but this 3rd and 4 nights and coming over from the mountain time zone, this has been a bad situation and a bad scheduling spot for teams throughout the course of the season. So I'm not rushing to bet Nashville. I kind of think they want to end the road trip with a win. I mean, they don't want to go 0-4. I believe this is the end of the road trip. Yes, they go home, but they go home after this. No, they don't. They play in Seattle. 1 more game on the road, and that game is coming up on Wednesday night. Then they finally go home, and they play Winnipeg. So Lankinen against his old team. We'll see. That always gets you fired up usually when you play one. Well, he's been with Chicago and Nashville, but Nashville most recently. There's enough factors to keep me off Nashville, even though I'm kind of leaning to the Predators here at plus 105. I am going to go with the over by Fecta. This is the system play in effect. Again, going to lessen the units on this just a little bit because it's not been cashing at the clip, at the percentage, at the rate we saw just a few weeks ago or a month ago. But we're going to keep riding it and see if the results turn a little bit. So over 1.5 and over 6 with the first period over, full game over, with Nashville, of course, coming off the shutout loss to Calgary on Friday night. So over by Fecta. The draw is appealing a little bit. Nashville played overtime against Edmonton and Colorado. I could see that as a possibility. We've seen 3 straight 1-goal game. Well, those were the playoff games as well. And I believe this is the first game since the playoffs when, of course, Vancouver beat Nashville. So if it matters to you, we have playoff revenge here. It's Nashville's first time getting a crack at Vancouver since getting knocked out in the first round last year. So I lean Nashville, lean draw. Maybe I sprinkle on both. I probably will because I'm high volume. And over by Fecta. Riding the system play, even though the system play has, again, kind of come back down to earth a little bit in the last few games. Goaltending, it looks like we've got, again, Lankinen should get the nod for Vancouver, Saros for Nashville. And the main injuries on both sides, Thomas Novak still day-to-day for Nashville. Brock Besser looks like he is still out here for the Vancouver Canucks in this game. As far as props, Jonathan Lecker-Mackey, I mean, he scored a couple games ago, his NHL debut. I've been impressed. I like what I see. Pius Suter's been in good form for the Canucks, so there's a couple on that side that I would consider. For Nashville, it's just got to be the big guns. I like to look for value, but if they're going to score goals and if they're going to bounce back from being shut out by Calgary, it's got to be Forsberg. It's got to be O'Reilly. It's got to be, Gus Nyquist, Stamkos, and Marchessault. It's got to be those guys. So buy into them, trust in them if you think Nashville is going to finally wake up offensively here tonight. All right, next up, we've got Washington, Vegas. Vegas Golden Knights currently minus 120 or minus 130, I should say, home favorites in this game. The total 6 pretty much across the board. I ain't fading Washington. I like what I see from this team. It was a great win the other night against the Colorado Avalanche. Great response. Tells you that what kind of coach Carberry is. He called them out after the Toronto game. How playing not the way he wanted them to, trying to protect that lead. Toronto was just the much better team in the third period, came back to win in overtime, and it was a really great response from the Washington Capitals when their coach was not happy with the way they finished that game against the Leafs, and they respond with a nice win against Colorado on Friday night. We'll see if they can carry that over here to this game against the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas 8-1 at home. They continue to play really strong hockey at home, although their last home game was their first loss at home at T-Mobile Arena, 5-2 against Carolina. They then went on the road, and they got the job done. Back-to-back road wins against Anaheim and Utah, and now back home here to face the Washington Capitals. Washington, like I said, 11-5, 4-1. I've been impressed with what I have seen from them, no question about that. If you look at the recent series history, it has been fairly home dominated. Vegas has won 4 straight over Washington here at T-Mobile Arena, but Washington 3-1 their last 4 hosting Vegas. So it really has been the home teams had the better of it. Washington beat Vegas last month 4-2 in Washington, 4-2 win for the Capitals. You got Logan Thompson, who got the start that night against his old team. It was an angle that we talked about in that game last month, Logan Thompson facing his old team. And I think we're going to see Logan Thompson tonight. Hasn't been confirmed, but it makes all the sense in the world. You put him in. He's probably been a little bit better than Lindgren so far, and you put him in his return to Vegas. This is what most coaches do. We saw it with Cam Talbot last night for Detroit as Derek Lalonde puts him in against his old team. So we'll see how this one plays out. I'm not going against Washington. It's Washington or pass, but it is Vegas, at home, 8-1. Vegas that has been trying to avenge the loss to the Capitals last month as well. But I like Washington too much right now in the way they're playing. Thompson, I like him going against his old team. I think he get a good effort. So I lean Capitals here. Don't love it as much as I did Friday. Friday, it was a best bet for me. Washington is not a best bet for me here tonight. But I still like the price for them. You're getting them a small road underdog here, plus 110. So I do lean Washington. I lean over the total. First period, full game over a little bit here in this game. We look at the Capitals. They continue to score goals. They continue to be involved in higher scoring games, 3 straight overs for the Washington Capitals. The St. Louis, Toronto, Colorado games all going up and over the total between these two teams. 2 of the last 3 meetings in Vegas have gone over the total as well. And Vegas, we've talked about all year how good they've been with these first period overs, especially at home. The numbers at home, I like the first period over even more. I'm going to go back and compile the 9 games that Vegas has played at home. They're 8-1 at home. I'm pretty damn sure first period overs at home for Vegas at T-Mobile Arena this year. I'm pretty sure it's something like 8-1 or 7-2, specifically with the first period overs. I'm going back and I'm looking. It's been pretty strong. Actually, I've got it at, it looks like 6-3 is what I've got it at for the first period over for the Vegas Golden Knights at home. So, yes, I'm on the over by Fecta, but I'm putting the greater percentage of that over by Fecta on the first period over here tonight with the Capitals and the Golden Knights. As far as props go, yes, Alexei Protas, we don't even have to really be shocked anymore when I mention that he's probably a goal prop that I'm looking at. No doubt. Connor McMichael, same thing. Ovechkin's been obviously a bounce back year. He's not waiting around until the second half of the season to get rolling offensively. He's been very good. I'll throw out a couple under the radar at you too. Jacob Vrana is someone that was with Washington initially, went to Detroit for a bit. Now he's back here with Washington. He scored the other night against Colorado. Streaky is what he is as a goal scorer. So when I see that he scored a goal for the first time in several games against Colorado, he is sometimes a player that we can ride a little bit once he gets on the board. So maybe a little flyer on Jacob Vrana as well. As Aaron points out, Tom Wilson's had a nice run versus Vegas as far as offensive production is concerned. So there's a lot of good options you can go with here on the Washington side of the equation. For Vegas, William Karlsson heating up. I think that's definitely someone to pay attention to right now. Nicholas Waugh on the second line, there's value. And as I always say every game with Vegas, Barbashev, Dorofeyev playing with Jack Eichel. Probably always a shot for them to score and always worth a look. All right, final game for this Sunday, New York Rangers and the Seattle Kraken. This is going to be a difficult choice for me as far as which broadcast to tune into. Is Sam Rosen in his final season. Probably got to lean to the Rangers, just MSG broadcast because of that. That being said, on the other side, you've got my number one crew, or it was my number one crew 2 years ago. Number 2 last year because I gave the nod to Detroit as number 1 just because of Ken Daniels having to call so many great moments for Detroit as they were pushing to make the playoffs. The Patrick Kane call of his overtime winner in Chicago against the Blackhawks, but the Seattle crew is right there, one of the best in the NHL with Forsland and Eddy. So that's not an easy decision which broadcast to watch here. Seattle hosting New York. We've got the Rangers minus 190 road favorites, 6 the total in this game. Rangers starting a road trip. Obviously, Seattle on a great run on this homestand. They've played very well here at Climate Pledge, 4-0 on the current 4-game homestand with wins against Vegas, Columbus, Chicago, and the New York Islanders. We'll see if they can make it 5 in a row here on home ice against the Rangers. Rangers have been awesome on the road, though, this season. In fact, it's probably slightly better on the road than they've been at home because they're 5-4 at MSG, 5-1 away from home this year, the New York Rangers. They're not pretty, but effective is the best way to put it. The 3-2 win for them against San Jose on Thursday night. We'll see if they can start the road trip in the right foot here. The Rangers have owned this series. They've won 5 of the 6 all-time meetings versus the Seattle Kraken. They swept the 2 games last year, 5-2 and 4-1. Seattle goes to hosts Nashville after this to end the homestand. Then they go back on the road to California after that. Not a whole lot here for me as far as this game goes. Rangers have starting a road trip's usually a bet on spot, and so I'm not really looking to go against the Rangers. They've dominated the Kraken in the past, but Seattle's playing really well, and you are getting a big plus number with them as a home underdog when 4 straight home wins on this homestand. But I just feel the Rangers are going to want to start this road trip on the right note. And with all due respect to Seattle's homestand, the Vegas win was great in overtime, but Columbus, Chicago, and the Islanders, it's not exactly the murderer's row schedule that you faced here on this homestand. You've gotten ripe and you've gotten well against some weaker foes, especially Columbus and Chicago. You're facing a good team here, the New York Rangers. Maybe the draw could get there. They did go to overtime against the best team they've played on this homestand. That was, of course, Vegas. To begin the homestand. So I could maybe get there with a small draw bet. Nothing much, though, besides that. We've also talked about Seattle on this homestand. Another thing that is important to point out, the last 2 games have gone under the total, but we have seen Vegas go 3 out of the 4 games on this homestand, first period over. So that's probably what I'd target maybe as well, a first period over and maybe a little bit on the draw. And I like the first period over much more than I do the full game in this particular matchup. As far as props go, Burakovsky, used him as a bargain bin. He did not score yesterday against the Islanders, but if he remains on that top line and Eberle remains out, there's still great value with Burakovsky, I think, in my opinion, to find the back of the net here for Seattle in this game. Keep that in mind. By the way, for the New York Rangers, Alexis Lafreniere, we talk about him. He's always worth a look, but Will Cooley's been great for the New York Rangers. Capo Caco, of course, even he started to percolate a little bit in some of these recent games. It looks like Daniel Sprong, of course, someone that they reacquired. He was with Seattle at one time, then started the year with Detroit, or was with Detroit last year, Vancouver to begin this year. And he made his Kraken debut yesterday against the New York Islanders. Daniel Sprong had a pretty solid run with Seattle. He might be someone that is, and they brought him in to kind of jolt this team and give them some punch offensively from the third and the fourth line. So we'll see if Daniel, that Sprong can give them that kind of punch tonight in this game. All right. Shout out to everyone in the chat. That's it. There's your 4 games. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. Sign up at patreon.com/Ice Guys, just $10 per month. And again, goalie charts, totals charts are daily. Ice Guys show betting cards, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day, just $10 per month. Sign up at patreon.com/Ice Guys. We're pushing for 200 subscribers, 200 members on the Patreon page. We're almost there. So help us get to that 200 milestone. And again, your $10 per month subscription helps support the show in the long term. $10 per month. Sign up now, patreon.com/Ice Guys, and check out the Ice Guys store. Get your gear and your merch at iceguys.myspreadshop.com. All right, bargain bin special of the night and best bets coming up right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Manscaped, Power Play Sportsbook, Raise Your Game, Tailgaters Social, and a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page. Everyone loves a perfect pair. Bacon and eggs. Thunder and lightning. Mario and Luigi. A hot dog with fries. Ian and Alex B. That's right. Everyone loves a perfect pair. So why not pair up your game nights with Boston Hemp? From exotic flower to concentrates and edible products. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better pairing than Boston Hemp and hockey. Check them out today at bostonhempinc.com. That's bostonhempinc.com. Boston Hemp Incorporated, the official smoke sponsor of the Ice Guys. Void where prohibited by law. Not available outside of the United States. Must be 21 or over to obtain products. Check your local regulations to see if Boston Hemp is available in your area.
Shout out to all our great Ice Guys sponsors, including, of course, Boston Hemp Inc. Make sure you check them out. 20% off all orders on the website using the promo code Ice Guys at bostonhempinc.com. All right, bargain bin special of the night for this Sunday slate. A couple of good choices here to go with, but 4 games on tap. We'll see what we can find here. I'm trying to think. There was one that I was interested in here. Let me just see. It was from the Washington-Vegas game. There's a couple that I was going back and forth between. Let me just see what we've got. If he's bargain. Yeah, he is. I'm going to go back to Protas for Washington. Plus 345 at Patano. This has been a guy we've cashed a bargain bin special of the night with recently. Continues to play great. Top line with Ovi and Strome. And still bargain bin prices, plus 345 at Patano. Let's go with that. Alexi Protas for the Washington Capitals, plus 345 for my bargain bin special of the night. All right, best bet for this Sunday slate. There are 5.5s. There's a couple 5.5s with that Nashville-Vancouver full game over. We're going to take that. Nashville-Vancouver over 5.5 minus 125. System play in effect, first period over, full game over. We'll use the full game portion of that system play with that game. Predators and Canucks, of course, Predators coming off the 2-0 shutout loss to Calgary on Friday night. Again, we'll see how this goes because it's kind of gone, it's regressed a little bit as far as recent results with the system play, but we'll take a shot with it tonight. with Nashville off the shutout. Predators, Canucks over 5.5, -125 for my best bet here for this Sunday NHL slate. That is a wrap. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much on the way out. And a reminder, the Betcast, 2 days away. Tuesday night, November 19th, 7 p.m. Eastern time. We cannot wait. It's going to be a great NHL card. If you've never been part of the Ice Guys Betcast before, you're going to enjoy it. No question about that. So again, a DM or email me or Alex for a spot on the Betcast, and we will send you the link for it before it begins. Tuesday night, our November Ice Guys live Betcast, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you join us for that. Reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Tuesday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms: Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Sunday. Enjoy the games and good luck. Back with you Monday at noon Eastern for another edition of the Ice Guys.